Well, good evening, everybody. I'm a little early this week because I'm a little late other days. It's funny because the computer says 9:09. My phone says 8:59. Look at me. I am not known for being on time. As a matter of fact, between the first contraction and my birth was only 4 hours, so even less. My mother barely made it to the hospital. She said that it was crowning as she got to the hospital. I was in a hurry. All right. Tonight, as you can tell by my title, is a little bit about pride, and I want to deal with my own. This is basically something that I have learned on my own in the last few years. About 4 years ago is when this, was happening to me. And so I was, feeling burdened. I was feeling a little bit like I'd done something. I don't even remember what it was now, but I had done something that was probably something I shouldn't have done. But I didn't really want to confess it and deal with it. I just thought, I will bear the consequences for this. I will be the one. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to tell Jesus. I'm not going to tell God. I'm going to bear this myself. And it was like the Lord spoke to my heart in some way. You're not taking that stripe. You can't have that stripe. You can't bear that stripe. And I was and I thought, what was that about? It's like I realized how prideful it was for me to try to take a stripe from Jesus. Oh yeah, Jesus. I got this all together, Jesus. I know what I'm doing, Jesus. Jesus, you've done so much, and you really don't have to take this for me, and I'll take it. A good way of looking at that. Let me get back to my page that I flipped off here. No, I didn't flip it off like that. So it's in big gold letters. Oh, no, that's right. In order to not lose it, my track, I tore it out. There we go. So basically what I was doing was I was telling the Lord, I'll take that stripe. I'll take the blame. I will be the one to bear that. It's innocent. I want you to know that it's an innocent thing to do that. We want to do it as parents. I even wrote a song one time a couple of years ago that was about the Blue Grounds stood around the table, white masks across their eyes, below their eyes. Through the observation window, a daddy softly cries. And as they step away from his son, all the doctors could do had just been done. The father knew the suffering had just begun, and this is what he cried. Put it on me. Put it on me. I can't stand this any longer. Put that on me. All this pain and suffering wasn't meant to be. Put it on me. Put it on me. And the father in this song is feeling the pain of the son, feeling the pain of the child. And we as parents want some way, Lord, if I could trade places with my son or daughter's pain and take it for them, I know I could bear up under it. I know I could bear it. I know I could take it. Lord, let me feel the pain and let them go free. Now, God created us. He has the emotions we have because we have them. We can't have something that he doesn't have because he couldn't give it to us because he doesn't have it. So I want you to imagine that, God is watching and seeing the destruction of sin on the earth. And he's God. I mean, he can't do anything about it except judge it. And Jesus coming to him and saying, wait, Father, don't put it on them, put it on me. And Jesus looking at mankind saying, put it on me. Put it on me. I can't stand it any longer. Put it on me. All this pain and suffering wasn't meant to be. Put it on me. Put it on me. And I want you to feel that. That's how Christ felt. He wanted to like a jetty breaks a wave. I want to tell you that, I've seen these videos where a ship will go by and the water drains away. Well, on the big freighter, that's out at sea, maybe a half a mile away from the beach, goes by. And I'm not thinking much of it. But the surfers all grabbed their boards and got in the water and started paddling out. And of course, the first thing I noticed was the surfers, all of them, boy, they grabbed their boards and started heading out. And that's when, just talking with people and watching what was going on, it was the ship, the freighter that went by a half a mile out there. I mean, it was small. And we're like, what is going on? And so sure enough, about 7 or 8 minutes later, by the time they got paddled out and turned around, maybe 10, minutes, here came the wake from that freighter way out at sea. And those surfers, boy, they were just so they rode that thing in right to the thing. And
keep going.
Okay, so anyway, sorry about that. And those waves came in. So you see, when those waves, the regular waves were coming into the shore, all of a sudden those ships' waves hit the shore. And I'm telling you what, it soaked anybody that was close to the water. It just went whoosh, double, triple as far as a regular wave up the beach.
That link is for Pastor Scott.
And so we are in that same situation where, Jesus, he has seen the judgment of God on mankind. He sees that there is a huge wave that's going to crush over mankind of God's judgment, even though he's in love. He loves man, but God's righteousness, requires this judgment. And so Jesus is doing that. He is like a jetty. He's like the rocks that get between you and the waves of judgment of God, which brings us back to him taking the stripes. So you see, when Jesus sees what's coming, he's like, oh God, put it on me. Put it on me. Now, some people even say, well, it's just a cold. I'm just a little cough, a little cold. No, it's a stripe that Jesus bore, a cough and a cold. He bore every sickness, every disease, Every stripe. I've even heard stories about the 39 stripes and how there are 39 different diseases and things that can kill you, sicknesses and diseases, all add up to 39 of different categories, and it's kind of interesting like that. So I'm fascinated with that number when it comes to why 39, why not 38, and why can't I help Jesus? You know, Jesus, you don't have to bear everything I did. I mean, I can carry something. But you see, if you do that, you end up thinking, you don't realize it, but when you got to heaven, you know, you would say, well, you know, he only took 38 for me. I took one. God's not going to allow that pride in heaven. That's pride, to think that you can take that sickness or that disease or that situation and take your piece. Oh no, I'll share it with you, Lord. You know, but you see, you're going to share in the glory, and it's His glory, not yours. Don't try to take a stripe. And now let me put it in point of, you know, oh well, you know, somebody has to be, you know, die from this, or somebody has to have cancer, or somebody has to have this. And no, you do not have to bear cancer. You do not have to bear sickness. You do not have to bear disease. Oh, it's mine. It's my burden. I'm to bear it. No. As a matter of fact, I wrote that down. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, it talks about the stripes and even the stripes of Jesus. But in the in Proverbs 19:29 says stripes are for the backs of fools. They strike the mouth with a fist, and they lay stripes on the backs of fools. So that means, you know, you're in the company of fools if you want to take a stripe. Acts 16:23. Remember Paul, and when he says, you know, 5 times received I, you know, 40 stripes less one. Those were real stripes. Now, some Christians, hey, there he is. Some Christians say, you know, oh, I gotta, you know, I'm taking some stripes. I'm doing this because Jesus did or Paul did. No, they took real stripes, not you taking one of Jesus' stripes. They took real stripes, and in Luke 12, it says that there are stripes for the backs of fools that knew the will of the Lord and refused to do it. And so everywhere in the New Testament, 2 Corinthians 11:23, those were real stripes with a real whip. So if you want to take some stripes, you can only take the real ones. Go find a cat of 9 tails and teach somebody how to use it on you. That's the only way you're supposed to. That's the only way you're allowed to take a stripe. And so you don't have to suffer. As a matter of fact, it says that Jesus suffered during his ministry. Jesus suffered on the earth, but it was the suffering of obedience. Not until the cross did he suffer the stripes. It's not your job to carry a stripe. Hey, handsome, what brings you around these days?
How are you?
All's well. I suppose you probably caught some of what I was saying about the Jesus stopping the wave and trying to, you know, understanding the value of these stripes,
Right.
but understanding the human nature of we want to help. You know, we want to help. We want to do it for our own children. So it's our desire to do it to help Jesus, but there's just no way. We can't carry those. But I understand, because we do it for our kids.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Didn't get you on any sooner.
I was looking for paper to write on, and then I finally got everything pulled up. I thought I saw your email, but it was Team something and not Team Jesus Ministries, but it's all good.
Wooden place. Yep, it is. So I got to tell my wave story about the ship at sea, bringing in big old waves for the surfers. and how God's judgment is that even though it's at a distance, it's coming,
Right.
and it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit. So, all right. So anyway, what do you think about that? An example where you've taken a stripe trying to be helpful or something like that? Because I'm trying to make an emotion that people could recognize. Oh, I've done that. When have you done that?
Yeah, a lot in prayer life. You take something and take it to God, and then I don't know. You mentioned something when I talked to you earlier, the time thing. And you hadn't got to that yet. But when you take a prayer to Him, it's like if He don't answer it, if He don't in your time frame, you'll go back and pick it up, but man, it ain't yours to carry. It's His. You're supposed to take it, cast your burdens upon Him, and trying to, like you said, the mindset, the human mindset is you want to help, you want to pitch in, you want to do your part, but we can't.
Yes.
This is one of the things where we can't, and two, it's been human, it's a pride thing. You want somebody to say, oh, yeah, well, good job. I appreciate your help. I appreciate you. But we can't do that here.
You think Jesus would say that? Oh, wow. You saved me a stripe. He's not going to say that.
This one here, it's all on Him. And it has to be. It has to be 100%. And,
Yeah. All or nothing. I'm trying to come up with a way of explaining that feeling. Like, I'm a parent. I want to bear the burden of my child.
Right.
But yet, as a Christian, I cannot. I have to let Jesus. So why do we have to let Him bear every burden? Why can't we bear one? Why can't we take a stripe?
My thought is my sins made greater His sorrow. My sins are His stripes. I can't cover my own sins. It has to be Him. And that every stripe He took should have been me. It was meant for me. He took my whipping. I was supposed to have been the one tied to that whipping post. You were supposed to have been the one tied to that whipping post. But He stepped in and took our place. So now we just got to be grateful, thankful, and believe on Him. And it should have been me. That was my whipping He took.
Do you think it's normal for me to why couldn't I take one or two of them?
Yeah, that's just the human nature. You want to be able to bear some things, but in the same concept, you can't, because then you would stand out, and it ain't nothing that we do to get saved. It ain't getting saved. Ain't nothing I done. Ain't a thing in the world I can do to.
So that's so that's the crux of it. Then is the salvation.
Yeah,
that's very good. Because I know we were, the burden part. The Bible doesn't say to carry your own burden, to carry your own stripes. It says to carry the burdens of others, bear one another's burdens, not your own. You can't bear your own boy, because that's part of salvation.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's really good. It's, I can bear other people's burdens, but not my own, because that's pride. Oh yeah, I did that. I took a stripe. Yeah.
Then you'd be wanting that pat on the back. You'd be wanting to look what I done. Look at what I can do. And that's where
it was a couple, 5 years ago was, just I could do this. I don't realize, I still can't grasp the absolute helplessness that I have to feel. I don't like that feeling.
Right.
How do I? But yet, that's the feeling that leads to salvation. Accepting absolute helplessness.
Yep.
That's harder for a guy. I mean, I think, women in general have more of an ability to accept that than men do, because we're supposed to take the weight. We're supposed to bear the weather. We're supposed to be the buffalo, and they can be the butterfly. I don't like being helpless. I think that's kind of what I'm getting at, was being willing to admit that I'm helpless, and I wasn't willing. And that's pride. Wow.
Yeah. Pride is, and Donnie, the bad thing about it is pride's going to keep a lot of people out of heaven. And pride and tradition goes hand to hand. I mean, it's, Daddy never done that, so I need to take care of myself. I need to, Daddy never stopped and asked for directions when we was out on the road. I'm lost. I need directions, God. Help. You got to break your pride. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Thank God for GPS, because my wife was my GPS years ago, and I wouldn't let her.
Yeah.
I do have a good internal GPS. My wife can always ask me where I'm at, and I always know. I have this helicopter imagination where I can shoot up and look down at where I'm at and go, okay, I know exactly where I am. Not as but not as well in the mountains, but I did in Florida. Didn't have any problem in Florida. Always knew where I was. But that's pride. I think that's one reason why I didn't want to even get a GPS, was I had pride.
Yep.
In where I was and knowing who I was, where I was going to go. I did not like waiting for the next voice to tell me when to turn. I wanted to know ahead of time.
Yeah, and
that's great.
And then
to,
like you were saying there, pride goes straight into faith, because you wanted to know when the next turn was, so you could plan ahead, so you could. But when you throw pride away and put your faith in Christ, you're dependent on faith. Then it's you, Lord. That stripe comes from pride stripe to a faith stripe. You've got to lay it all on Him. What?
Huh.
Because it's a scary thing if you don't know the next move. And I've been there. You don't know what's going to happen next, or what's going to. And then when it does, you're like, boy, I'm glad I don't have this in control, or I would not have done it that way.
So GPS could stand for God's pride seeker, looking for pride in me.
That would look at it, yeah.
If I'm looking for the next turn, if I want to know what's going on, I'm not in faith, and I'm not waiting on His voice. Yeah.
And there's a lot of times that going through life's journey, that God's personal protection, the GPS, would all of a sudden throw me up a rerouting. But that's when God was steering me around something, I mean.
Yeah. You know how you put your GPS in and it gives you several routes to the same location.
Yep.
And that's funny. Yeah. Well, God's saying, okay, you can take the long way, or you can go this way.
Right. Yep.
I have gotten off the wrong track many times, thinking I knew better than the GPS. My Apple GPS, though, is pretty stupid. Though it makes a lot of mistakes. And I'm like, why would I do that? Because it really. But I don't have the extra, expensive version. I've got the free one. When you buy a more expensive version, you get all the extra little things that. My GPS does not know when I'm driving an RV compared to a sports car. So it says, go this way. And I'm like looking at the hairpin turns on the directions going, I'm driving an RV. I can't go that way, but it doesn't know that. because I don't put in the extra time and effort to tell it what I'm driving. So when you go with the stripes and everything, but stripes are on the surface, I wanted to talk a little bit about the, he was wounded for our transgressions, and we cannot take those wounds. We've got to let him take every one. And he was bruised for our iniquity. Now, what's the difference between a wound and a bruise in your mind?
Well, a wound is something that, it's, you can see it, it's a surface. I mean, it's a wound, something you have to treat because it's
visible.
A bleeding open. Yeah, it's visible. I mean, it's something that, you take a deep bruise, you never see it until it's actually healed before you start seeing it on the surface.
Yeah, doesn't leave a mark. Right. I think that's pretty good because that's almost like, well, if I'm going to take a stripe for pride, why don't I take a bruise? Well, no one would see that.
Right.
So I'm not volunteering for that one. That because the bruise is deeper. Wounds of a child, wounds that you don't understand, the heartbreaks that aren't that from someone's cruel words or something like that in your past that just totally devastated you as a child, and you're wounded, right. Not injured, wounded, right. Bruised. And I know it takes a bone bruise 3 times as long to heal as a skin bruise, but right. A bone bruise leaves no mark. And even a stripe would leave a scar. Yeah. I always heard, scars are not where you were wounded; they were where you were healed. But that doesn't help at the time. It helps later, But I can have a little pride in a scar. Can't have any pride in a bruise. So I just want anybody to know that there are wounds that no one can see. They're deeper. They're bruised down to the bone inside. I've heard of a heart being bruised. I've heard of bruised liver, bruised kidneys. Things that are deep inside that just ache and ache and ache. And I want you to know that Jesus took that bruise, took that deep hurt, not just the surface things that everybody can see, but he took the deep one too. So guess what I'm trying to get at here is that we can't even take one stripe. And it's pride. But you can't pick your stripe either. Well, I'll take that one, but not that one.
Right. Yep.
I'll take that one, but wait a minute now.
Mm-hmm.
You think of every sickness and every disease is in the 39 stripes.
Yeah.
And I guess where I'm going with all of this is that these stripes didn't kill him. They could, though.
Yeah.
They could kill you, and even the cross itself, imagine Jesus going to the cross after 39 stripes. He goes to the cross after walking the Dolorosa, probably getting hit and smacked around while he was on his way to the cross as well.
Right.
Bloody tracks behind him the whole way out, smeared behind him. And then nailed to the cross. After everything else, nailed to the cross. And then that cross being dropped in the ground. And of course, people don't understand that to breathe when you're hanging on a cross, you have to push with your feet and lift yourself up so that your diaphragm will breathe, which is very painful. This is the greatest way, the greatest suffering possible is the cross. The most unimaginable pain and suffering is the cross.
Yep.
And you might say, why? Well, because no one would ever be able to say that they could take it,
Right.
that they could live through that. Nobody. You see, you couldn't live through the stripes. You couldn't live through the carrying the cross. I should say, we can't live. Because we can't live through crucifixion. But Jesus can. And we can't take even one stripe, because then none of it is good. You've got to do that. So when Jesus was on the cross, that means that everything on this earth that could kill you, every sickness, every disease, the stripes, the nails, were given to him, and he still didn't die. Why?
That's right.
Because you first. Why didn't all that kill him? What's your thought on that?
Why didn't all that kill him? Was because he had to have,
Involuntarily, where he couldn't help it.
he had to have control over
Why didn't it kill him?
death, hell, and the grave. And the only way
Death,
to control
hell,
it,
and the grave.
and the only way to control it was by waiting and making it. When he said, "Father, it is finished. Under thy hands do I command my spirit." That was him saying that he was dying under his own conditions, under his own terms. Satan didn't kill him.
That's what I was looking for.
Satan didn't kill
Under
him.
his, even that word condition. That's the word I couldn't come up with.
And looking at that, even on the cross, when you're praying a prayer and God hadn't answered it yet, it's in his own time, under his own conditions. He wouldn't even die unless it was under his own conditions. So the same way with answering prayer.
Yeah. That's it right there. That's the word. That's the word. That's the word. Conditions. You see, all of the conditions of this earth that can kill you happened to Jesus.
Yep.
And he didn't die. So that's why you can't even take one stripe, because it's a condition that can kill you. And by you keeping it and saying, I deserve this cancer, I deserve this kidney failure, I deserve this liver issue, I'll carry this liver, it's my burden to bear. I don't even want to tell my family because they'll spend all their money and all their savings trying to help me, and it's not their condition to bear, it's mine.
Right.
Wow, that's the word. Mm-hmm. So every condition that can kill you was on the cross, and yet he didn't die. And by doing that, in other words, Jesus said, "Okay, anything else? Are you done? You this is it? I'm still here."
Right.
Okay, that means I now have power and authority over death. Death, you have no grave. Death, where is your sting? Grave, where is your victory? You just said it a second ago. Because the conditions don't matter anymore.
Okay.
Because he solved it. That's the word. I knew there was something. We can put that into so many things. I want to put that into the hearts of the people right now, that Jesus met all the conditions for you to be saved, except your choice. That is one last condition. to your salvation is your choice. And last time we spoke, we were talking about walking in front of the back and forth in front of the open grave. Are you ready to walk in? Are you ready to finally die? Now, in this time, I'm saying Jesus proved to you nothing could kill him. And then he gave up his life. He just said, okay, God, I release my spirit. I've done my job. I've done everything I can do. I have proven that I have authority over death and hell and the grave. And now I can release myself.
Man.
Every condition was met. That's powerful. That's powerful. If you haven't, now there's only one condition for us. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. To accept and believe. And you know, when he said it is finished, you know, that is, like you said, there's only one condition. Because the rest of it's been done. The rest of it is done.
Everything's been done.
It's the battle's been fought, and then everything. I mean, you know, the victory's there. You just got to claim it. That's the only thing you got to do.
Wow.
But yeah, and then you know, a lot of times, you know, we pray and then we say, "Well, God ain't answered that prayer. God ain't." But it goes back to that condition. Everything's His time, and His time's perfect. You know, the reason He went through. You know, you talk about the bruises. You know, the main thing we want to talk about, we want to read about and hear about is the whipping He took, the crucifixion. But you know, before that, they beat Him, they spit on Him, they mocked Him. You know, a lot of that gets through to the side. Now, that was the Roman soldiers. They put the crown of thorns on Him, the purple robe.
Ripped his beard off.
Yep.
Ripped a piece of his cheek off.
And every bit of that was a stripe. And
the crown of thorns.
Yep.
Oh, the crown of thorns. Wow.
And when you think about it,
have you ever seen one of those remakes of the original Crown of Thorns?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like a bunch of steak knives.
And have it shoved into your head, you know.
Oh, under the scalp? I mean, he would literally be head to toe coated with blood, for the scalp is the heaviest bleeding area of the body.
Right, yeah. And it is.
Oh, and that's another condition too, by the way, that I just remembered, was that he was still alive, completely empty of blood.
Yep.
His body was empty of blood, except for what was trapped in his diaphragm that was released by the spear, where blood and water flowed. He was still alive without blood. And remember when he came back and he said to doubting Thomas, he said, put your hand in my side, feel the holes in my hands. There was no blood coming out of those openings. He was now living in the absolute glory and perfect power of God. Blood was not necessary. There was no blood in your body in heaven, because you could bleed out and die, and there's no death. So therefore, you can't suffocate in heaven, because you can't breathe, because it's not about breathing and breath. There's no air. There's no air in heaven, the way we know air. Right. Around here, you hold your breath, you find out real quick while you're holding breath how much air you got. But it's not like that in heaven, because then you could suffocate and die. You can't die in heaven, so therefore their air is not a necessary thing. So when Jesus was talking to Thomas, his skin was open. There's no blood coming out. So that's another condition.
Yep.
He met was that every reason to be dead. Man, he met every condition. Every condition. Whew. Man.
And everything you went through, everything he went through, from Pilate's Hall all the way to when he gave up the ghost, that was so, he knows what we feel. He knows the pain. He knows the suffering. We don't know pain and suffering like he does. So when you say, well, I'm going through this, and you pitch that pity party. God knows he was there. You know, you talk about being alone. When God turned his back on him hanging out on the cross, he was truly alone. You know what? We've never been alone. We've always had one that we can turn to. You know, even when you're by yourself, you're in the lowest of lows, there's always one, and that's Jesus that's there with you. But you know, when Jesus died, God turned his back. You know, he didn't look upon it, and so he knows what it is to be alone, and we're never alone. But no, when I get to thinking about Jesus, you know, there from Pilate's Hall all the way to the cross, I like to substitute me for him. You know, I should have been the one with the crown of thorns. I should have been the one because I was the sinner. He wasn't. This man done no wrong. That's what Pilate said. This man, there is no fault in him. He's taking the fault of me. That was me that should have been there. I should have. But it's wonderful that he took my place.
That's part of trying to take a stripe.
It is.
I'll take the road. I'll take the stripe. I'll take the road. I'll take the thorns. It all comes down to we can't. We have to admit that we can't take any of it. Yeah, and even if, like, for me, for instance, from a few years ago, I wrote myself a note that I saw the other day, and I had forgotten all about it. And where I had said, you know, I thought I hurt Jesus, you know, and I backslid, and I started doing things I hadn't done, and you know, I'd been a Christian for a while, but then all of a sudden I just did a few things I shouldn't have done, and I got around the wrong people that just they drove me crazy, you know, and I thought, man, I just hurt Jesus so bad that he would be resentful or angry or like a human would be, you know. I did all this for you, and you do this, but you know what? What came to me was, no matter what you do to me, it doesn't hurt as bad as them stripes. You can't hurt me as bad as I was hurt on the cross. There's nothing you can do. Anything that you do, I just brush it off and go, that's nothing compared to the cross. And I tell you what, I felt so much better. It's like I really thought, oh, Jesus, I tore a hole in you. And he's like, nah, that's nothing compared to the cross. You're all right. Don't worry. I got you. So, you know, he's met every condition, any reason that I can come up with. He's like, no, that ain't a reason. You need to come to me. Oh, no, I hurt you too much. Oh, no, that's no reason. Whatever you did, that's nothing compared to what I went through on the cross. You think you hurt me? Man, let me tell you what hurts.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I'd like to do a prayer right now. I'd like to do a prayer about releasing stripes. Just a real quick prayer for y'all. And you can follow along if you want. If you feel like you're carrying stuff you shouldn't be carrying, then just pray this along with me. If you're doing good and you don't need to. But I'm just going to pray a prayer for myself here, and you can follow it. Jesus, I apologize for thinking I could carry a stripe. Jesus, I'm sorry for trying to carry a stripe. It was just my pride. I'm sorry, Lord. There is nothing I can do, and I submit to you now my helplessness. I admit I am helpless. I can't do thorns, Lord. I can't do stripes. I can't do the road. I can't do the cross, Lord. And I thank you so much for doing all that for me. And if this rings true in your heart, right now, then just finish that prayer with me right now and say, Lord Jesus, I accept your sacrifice and your death into me. I thank you, Lord, for dying for me. Come into my heart, save my soul, change me from the inside, make me a different person. In Jesus' name, I receive you in my heart. I let you take all of my stripes that I deserve. I know, Lord, I can't take the stripes. I can't take any of it. And I give it to you now. And thank you, God, for raising Jesus Christ from the dead and for forgiving me of my sins through his blood. And I am saved right now in Jesus' name. Amen. Wow. I just want you all to know that you've been saved, changed on the inside. And it starts in the middle and works its way out. Your outside's not going to change right away, but you will. You'll see it. You'll see it a little at a time. Anything else on your heart, sir?
No, that was good. That was good. That you got to talking about the GPS, and I preached a message not too long ago on God's detours. And ain't nothing no worse and no more aggravating than when you get started somewhere and there's a detour sign and you have to go around this way or have to go around that way. And we were on our way down in the state, and I didn't know the area that good. So of course, we pull it up on our phone, and lo and behold, we get down there and they're doing road work. And it's interstate. And so it's got us off going on some back road, but we've seen some of the prettiest country. And a lot of times God will put detours in your way and on your path to get you to see some of the things that you wouldn't have seen any other way. God's detours is, and just like that, once we got on the interstate and I kind of knew about where I was going, we didn't rely on the phone or GPS as much until we saw that detour. And then once we got off, I was listening to that thing, because I didn't know. We were going to be lost if God may send you on a detour.
You thought you were. You were.
Yep. Sometimes God will send you on detours to get your attention, make you listen a little more. But
that's great. Aha. That's good. Yep.
And a lot of times, if God don't,
you don't have to think on the main highway.
Right. A lot of times, if God don't send us on a detour, we miss so much because, we got to see things that we wouldn't have saw if we'd have stayed on the interstate wide open.
Yeah, you see all that beautiful country and learn a little patience.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah. Well, you can see the same messages and comments that I do. Is there anybody saying anything? Oh, Michelle, good to see you. I haven't. There's your link. Yeah, well, Michelle's been in here saying a lot. I guess I'm not looking too much at the comments while I'm involved.
Right.
But we got the cabin paid off this week, so it's all paid for now. And some friends of ours donated some stuff for some. I've got pumpkin. They bought me. I said, "Can I have a couple of cans of pumpkin so I can make pumpkin pie?" I'd like to make pumpkin pie. I said, maybe 6 cans. And they got me a whole box of cans for pumpkin pie. and I said, I had a little bit of brown sugar, but they went to one of those places, Costco or something like that, or Sam's, where they don't have things in small amounts. So you know how you get those little boxes of brown sugar? Well, you might want to go through one of those or 2 of those. They're 1 pound or 8 ounces. And he got me, he thought the bag was 3 pounds. And, but I got to looking at that bag, and I have 7.5 pound bag of brown sugar.
That is a lot.
Yeah. And I still have one of those little bags left over from like 5 years ago that I bought. So I'm thinking, okay, pineapple upside down cake, here we come. And I love making. That's always good. And remember that other stuff? You put the brown sugar on first, and then you put the pineapples on it, then you pour the cake batter on it and bake it and turn it over. And I'm looking forward to that and putting it in a lot of different dishes. And actually, brown sugar, you can melt it down to syrup too. Make pancake syrup out of it.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm thinking about separating it into like 6 or 7 Ziploc bags, and so it'll store for a long time. And we'll have the 2025 brown sugar bag. 2026, 2027. Yep, almost through. So
And you're cooking on
really
Thursday.
yeah, because those. I mean, I don't know who needs it. Why they would even make a 7.5 pound bag of brown sugar, but it's organic. It's going to last forever, and we'll use it. And because it's organic, I'm going to definitely. I don't use regular sugar anymore, and I don't use white sugar anymore. I only use the sugar in the raw, or stevia, or Truvia. I use Truvia, and I quit even using that other stuff because it was maltodextrin, which is made from corn. So a lot of the corn sugars don't let your body feel full, so you tend to eat more, and that must be why it's in everything. So yeah, so we got Thanksgiving coming up, and the cabin, and if you can so be in touch with us in our email if you're going to stop by. It seems like we're just about full now of people stopping by. Not everybody, nobody's staying the whole time. I'm looking forward to doing my painting. I'm looking forward to doing nothing. And I got a good job this week doing a front door and a back porch ceiling. That's giving me extra money. So that's good. And all is well.
And
yep. Where are you going to go for Thanksgiving? Where are you going for Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving, I will be at my family's, my grandparents. And then when Amber gets off work, we will be headed your way. So you're cooking Thursday, right?
I'm cooking Thursday. All right.
Well, see, I've got to have leftovers Friday because I'll be over there Friday.
Okay, you'll be there Friday. Well, I'll tell you, I one of the things I asked for when they said they were going to go to the store and it'd be a blessing, I said, well, I'd like to get like a box of instant potatoes because I like making real mashed potatoes, but somebody might show up, afterwards, and I want to make something hot. Right. And they didn't sell any. They didn't have any. So guess what I got? Got huge bag of potatoes. So everybody gets real potatoes. And sweet squash potato. I got my squash. I like to take acorn squash, cut it in half, hollow it out, fill the middle with a chunk of butter and spicy seasonings and peppers and like Mrs. Dash and things like that, and then bake it. And then the butter melts, and you put the tin foil over the top of it, and you take it out, and you've got this liquid butter in the middle in the cup of the squash, and then you start scraping down the walls of the squash into the butter until you get that mushy, squishy, goldeny, glossy squash center. Oh, and it's its own bowl. It's its own bowl. So I can't wait to do that. And same with the butternut squash. You cut the bell off, and you use the stem to make squash, but you use the bell and put the butter in there. And so I'm going to be doing all that. But yeah, and also, right now at Food City, today, tomorrow and today, I think maybe, yeah, that's about it. Butterball turkey is 99 cents a pound. They're on half price instead of $1.99. 99 cents for a butterball turkey right now for a pound. So I got 2 of those. And I was looking at the cabin video, and it shows that there's only one stove there. So I'm going to dig out my roaster. So I've got these things that, like, remember those things that have 3 crock pots together that you can put out on a table and put different things in? I've got 2 of those. And then I've got one regular crock pot, and then I've got a turkey roaster somewhere in storage. But we have everything here on the property. So tomorrow, I'm working with the RV. I lost electricity on my RV on one side, and the guy I talked to said sounds like it's a switch that when the RV switches from shore power to RV power, it's not making the switch. So something's wrong there. Got to work on that. Move the RV a little bit so I can get under it and get in it and get into all the doors, and then get into storage. Get all the stuff out for Thanksgiving. Then next week I'll do a front door. Boy, I tell you, it's just good things are happening. I really feel good about a lot of things right now. A lot of things seem to be flowing, and I've been asking, and I had a lady yesterday. She had a word from the Lord, almost like a prophecy, a word from the Lord, just saying, subtle changes are happening, subtle differences. That one Isaiah one that says, "Behold, I do a new thing," and she was saying, the Lord's doing something new right now. He's doing it right now. You may not see it. It's not real obvious, but he's doing things right now that are new. And I feel, just lifted up so much. A lot of good things are happening. So we're real excited about that. And Joy's doing good. Her foot's even better. And all's well. So dogs are good, health's good, and just got to get, we're nice and toasty in the back. It's a little cold up front with the electricity not working up here, but I can run the generator and everything works. So I know it's not a big problem. If everything works when the generator's on, then whatever switches it from generator to shore power is the problem. And so we're going to get that looked at tomorrow. Oh, I called an RV repair place. $245 for the first hour. And $145 every hour after that.
That's what Joy was saying. That is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I mean,
wow. And I understand, but a lot of the work is 1 hour.
Right.
I mean, how do you make money when you're traveling all day and you fix everything in 15 minutes? And you get paid $50. I understand the business and everything else like that, but it just seems like, wow, it costs that much. But and I have a good attitude about a lot of things. Even today, I was realizing, I'm spending $180, almost $200 a month on gas for commuting, which sounds like a lot, but actually, if I'm working 30 hours a week, I'm only working 2 hours a week to pay for all the gas that I need for the week to make $900. To make $1,000 is costing me 2 hours of pay. And so that's my attitude. It's only costing me 2 hours. It's not $180. It's just 2 hours. For 2 hours, all my gas is taken care of. And I know I'm lucky when it comes to how much I get paid an hour. I shouldn't say lucky. I'm blessed. I'm experienced. I'm worth it. And God has made it available for me to do that. I want to encourage everybody else, just be faithful to what you do. If you have a job that you love, like I do, then you never work a day in your life. I love getting up. I love going to work. I love the job that I do. Just this week, they gave me a set of red oak staircase to make brown. Red oak to make it brown. Oh, and it was to match the floor too. And so they said, "We'll make it match the floor." Well, of course, as soon as I touched that red oak with any kind of things, paint thinner or any kind of flavor, it went nuts and turned real red. And I was like, "Oh, that didn't go so good." So you start off with red, and then end up. Let's see if you can see that. What's it reflecting on? The thing is, you can't really tell with this. Anyway, you can't tell which is the tread and what's the floor, but the floor is the bottom. I'm doing better here. Now that, yeah, the wood was red, but the bottom stripes that are going vertical, that's the flooring that was put in. And they said, match the floor. So, anyway, you can't really tell, but I'll send it to your phone some later on.
All right.
So you can notice it, and everybody else can just wonder. But it's called, part of why I'm called the Stain Master. People gave me that name years ago. It's like a gift. We all have a gift that brings in the money, that brings us before important people, that does things in this earth. And one of my gifts is being able to match paint, match stain, match wood, and do that. I don't know how. It just happens. I just can see what to do and how to work. I don't understand it. And so anyway, all's well. And I'm just about, I don't know, what time is it? Oh, it is 10 o'clock.
The hour mark. I was going to ask Michelle if her and Mike had figured out if they were going to get to make it. Now, I think she's still in here to your meetup. I know they had talked about it, but they hadn't said anything for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to save me some leftovers there, Donnie.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be Friday, but we're coming for sure. Unless, I don't want to say for sure because, like I always say, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans.
That's funny.
So we have nothing planned but coming to Pigeon Forge to see Joy and Donnie Black Friday.
Yeah.
So
instead of going to the stores and going crazy.
Yeah,
that's why I bought the 2 turkeys though, because I'm going to do 1 turkey on Wednesday, and have everything done, and then I'll do the other turkey, because there's not room enough in the oven.
Right.
So on Wednesday, that's why I was trying to tell Joy that I wanted to rent it on Tuesday, and she didn't quite understand all that, but the reason I wanted to rent it on Tuesday was it was going to take a day to get everything there, get everything going, and I got pies to make and apples, and I bought 2 great big bags of Macintosh apples so that I can make apple pie and apple crisp, and now I can make a dozen pumpkin pies. But I figure I'll just be making pies after I fix the meal. I'm just, I've got to buy a big old box of pie crust and things like that because it's just 1 oven. I was a little disappointed that something that would have, that sleeps 10 would only have 1 oven.
That is a huge cabin. Huge.
I guess they figure people aren't going there to cook. They're going there to vacation, and they're going there they won't be at the house, going out to eat. And, it's not a lodge. It's a cabin. So I understand. But I got a big double door refrigerator in there and plenty of counter space. And I'm looking forward to people helping me cook. And I just can't wait. I love all the flavors. Joy's very simple on the flavors that she wants. Me, I want everything on the bar. Everything that's there, every flavor. I love fajitas. To try and make 3 or 4 fajitas in one meal and make each one different with different toppings.
Right.
I love that. It's just that's the way I am. I like all the flavors. Anybody that can do anything, because honestly, as a cook, I do like leftovers because the day that I'm cooking, I'm so overwhelmed with all the odors and everything else like that. It isn't until the next day that I get to, oh, that's so good. Like we went to Holston's. We went to Holston's the other day, and the next day, the leftovers were still so good. Holston's is a wonderful restaurant. I recommend it highly. We've vlogged it, and even the appetizer, the meatball appetizer, was just out of this world. Just wonderful. So, but yeah, you get so it won't be leftovers. I'll be cooking fresh potatoes, and I'll be cooking and all that. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Me too.
All right. Well, I believe we've had fun. Everybody's doing good. I'm going to touch the new comment. I'm going to do more grocery store videos.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
We went in a store in Boone when we went up there to get that certificate for the dedication service I did.
Uh-huh.
And we went in there just to see if there's any shortages or anything. And I like messing with Amber, so anytime I can mess with her, that's the highlight of my day. So I like aggravating her.
Thank you, Kenny. I guess we'll be. Oh, Canada's there. Did the border open up like they said they were going to? All right. I can hear my wife shuffling around. I must not be doing something right. So, anyway, so good to see you, Kenny, Shebna, and Michelle's Tasty Dishes. Quite a bit from her. So,
Yeah, she said she's still waiting to hear from her older boys. Said you should know more tomorrow. I hope they get to come down.
that one. All right. Well, yeah, I think we got a lot of people coming. And Tara. And I might even get cheap and just buy a vegetable tray just to make sure I can feed the rabbit that's coming. Anyway.
He probably want vegetables though.
Yep.
I mean,
Now that would be Scott.
Yeah, it would be Scott, the other Scott, yes.
Yeah,
I would never accuse you of that.
Right.
So.
No. I like to eat too good.
Yep, but we're still going to have canned cranberry. Now, besides regular, I make a cranberry salad.
Oh, it's so good.
It's like one bag of cranberries, and then you boil them and pop them like you're supposed to on the bag. Then instead of adding a bunch of sugar, we actually do sour cream and mandarin oranges and a little bit of Truvia and things like that. So, and now this year, probably brown sugar.
For sure.
Everybody gets a bag of brown sugar to take home with them, by the way.
Who's kidding? Carrie said you need to have a baking party where brown sugar is an ingredient.
Yes, and everybody has to bring something that they have to need brown sugar to bake with. Oh, that's hilarious. Yep, we'll do that.
You know what day we're coming over, so
Oh, chili too.
Oh, and even we'll do some regular food. Yeah, like a chili, crock pot full of chili. And
did you go to the chili cook-off?
Well, no, but you know what? It was raining. So we didn't miss going because it was raining. Can you imagine me on the scooter going?
Yeah.
But
we didn't really miss the chili
dinner.
cook-off.
A friend took us out to dinner to Halston's, so it was
much better night.
Oh,
and
we really enjoyed that.
We didn't see anybody that really was like.
Everybody was cold. I heard everybody was cold, and they got rained on, and they weren't really having the best time at the chili cook-off.
And they wanted just too much money just to get in.
$15?
Here's your $30 cup of chili. Go get another one from somebody else.
Right.
And so anyhow,
well, you know what day we're coming over. So you got my number. If you need anything, we need to bring anything, text us.
Oh, sure. Okay. Make sure that you bring stuff to take home food in.
Do you have if somebody wants to make a dessert and bring it too?
Yeah, I'm making pumpkin pie and apple pie. If you want another dessert, you'll have to bring it.
Like a fruit salad or some sort of dessert.
Publix peppermint ice cream. Publix peppermint ice cream is the best peppermint ice cream I've ever had.
I don't know if Michelle said if she's coming or not, but if you're listening, Michelle, we do have room for you to stay at the cabin if you're coming.
She said that they would.
She wants to, and she's waiting to hear from her boys.
Okay, and you can get my number from Scott or your husband, Mike.
Yeah, well, your husband, yeah, because I've texted him. I've been on the phone with him. Okay. Yeah.
I'm starting that now.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it. And then, so maybe next Saturday, I don't know what you're doing. You know, if you're going to be available next Saturday?
I'll be working, I'm sure.
You'll be working next Saturday. Okay.
If every other weekend rotation from here till they hire more, or
Oh, well, no, I don't want you to cut your hours or anything. And but the blessing is there. I understand, being a minister.
But he's enjoying this every other week with you.
Oh yeah. I wrote down that word conditions, and I'm definitely going to pursue that. I really feel like that meant something in my own heart that, we've heard it all our life. Oh, the conditions are right for this. The conditions are right for that. Oh, the weather conditions, or the ocean conditions. And I've never really put that on the cross, like the conditions of salvation, the conditions that Jesus, met, that God put up. I mean, God put up a lot of conditions in the 10 Commandments that he had to meet. You got to meet all these 10 commandments. These are the conditions to salvation. Wow. And all the conditions he gave them in the Old Testament were absolutely unattainable, but he did that on purpose.
And you look at that,
they admit. And that's what I did tonight. I admitted I cannot meet the conditions. And I received.
They had conditions they had to do for a yearly sacrifice. They had conditions they had to do. They had a routine they had to go through. But then the conditions changed when that sacrifice came on the cross.
They had daily conditions. You couldn't take more than 1 day's worth of manna. That's a condition.
Right.
From 1 day to 1 year to every 7 years to every 50 years. There were lots of conditions. And they never met them.
Right.
They never met him. Oh, well, let's say goodnight.
All righty.
I love you.
Love you too, brother.
Jesus loves you more.
We will talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a good night, everybody. We will scroll over to the end broadcast.
Is it ended now?
And end broadcast.